All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about Agentic AI today. And this isn't just another buzzword. This is a technology that is fundamentally changing not just the tools we're using in tech, but the actual jobs we do every single day.
And that really brings us to the big question, right? The one that's probably on your mind and on the mind of pretty much everyone in the tech world. Are we actually training our own replacements, or are we building our future partners? Let's dig in and see if we can find an answer.
Okay, so first things first, there's a new player on the field. But what exactly is Agentic AI? Let's break it down.
So here's a good way to think about it. You know, a traditional AI, it's kind of like a super smart calculator. You feed it a problem, it spits out an answer. Simple. But an Agentic AI, that's more like a project manager. You give it a high-level goal, like a really big idea, and it's the one that figures out all the steps, manages the details, and just gets it done, all with you barely having to check in. It's a huge difference. We're talking about moving from a simple tool to basically a new teammate.
And this right here, this is really the core of it all. We're shifting from AI that just assists us to AI that actually collaborates with us. Think about it. A code copilot, that's assistive, right? It helps you write a line of code faster. But an Agentic AI, you can give it a high-level goal, like build this new feature, and it can plan and execute the whole thing. That's a total game changer for how we think about our own roles and where we provide the most value.
This table really nails another huge difference. You know, traditional software engineering is deterministic. It's like building a bridge. It follows a precise blueprint, and you expect it to do the exact same thing, perfectly, every single time. But AI engineering, that's probabilistic. It's more like gardening. You're not building a rigid structure, you're cultivating a system that learns and adapts over time, and that requires a completely different way of thinking, which is exactly why the job market is in such a state of flux right now.
So with this new kind of AI, we've got a whole new playing field, and it is completely reshaping tech roles. Some people are even calling it a skills earthquake. And honestly, they're not wrong.
Just take a look at these numbers. You can see a really clear pattern emerging. Roles that are all about routine, predictable tasks, think L1 support, a lot of QA testing, they're seeing a decline because, well, AI is getting really good at that stuff. But look at the other side. Security analysts? Demand is shooting up. Why? Because that job is all about strategic thinking, understanding context, and adapting on the fly. All things that AI, for now, just can't do.
And this leads to something that's being called the mid-career squeeze. This is so important. If you're maybe 5 to 10 years into your career and your job is mostly about executing tasks that are already well-defined, even if they're complex, you could be in a tricky spot. That classic career ladder where you just get better and better at one specific thing, it's starting to look a little shaky. The pressure to adapt and adapt quickly is on.
This quote from Anthropic, it just perfectly sums up the new reality. Your value as an engineer isn't just about banging out lines of code anymore. It's shifting. Now it's about being the architect, the strategist, the conductor of an orchestra of AI agents. You're not playing every instrument. You're the one making sure they all play together in harmony. It's a huge shift from being a hands-on builder to a high-level orchestrator.
Okay, so the playing field has changed. The big question is, what's the new playbook? How do you adapt to not just survive, but actually win in this new environment? All right, it really comes down to 3 key moves. First, you've got to audit your own job. Be honest, what parts can an AI do, and what parts absolutely need your brain? Second, whatever you identified in that second group, double down on it. Pour your energy into the skills AI can't touch. And third, build what they call T-shaped expertise. Picture the letter T. The vertical part is your deep, specialized knowledge in one thing. The horizontal part, that's your broad understanding of everything else around it. That combo is what makes you an incredible collaborator and problem solver.
So when we say human skills, what are we actually talking about? Well, it's all the messy stuff AI is terrible at. You know, handling a project brief from a stakeholder that's super vague and confusing, that's you. Taking the blame and the responsibility when a critical system crashes in the middle of the night, also you. And yeah, navigating the internal politics to get your project the budget it needs, AI has no clue. This is where you become absolutely irreplaceable.
Look, if you take only one thing away from this whole explainer for your own career, let it be this. The most valuable skill is no longer about writing every single line of code. It's about orchestrating the agents that write the code. You're moving up a level. It's not just about the how anymore. It's all about the what and the why. You're the director, not just an actor.
But you know, as we give these AI agents more and more power and autonomy, we're stepping into some really new, really complex territory. This isn't just about tech anymore. It's about ethics, it's about governance, it's about responsibility. The game has changed, and we desperately need a new rulebook.
Think about it. When an AI is making critical decisions, suddenly things like fairness, transparency, and bias aren't just academic questions, they're massive business problems. And this is actually creating a whole new set of jobs. We're seeing a huge demand for people who can make sure these incredibly powerful systems are safe, ethical, and actually doing what the business needs them to do without going off the rails. Which brings us to, honestly, maybe the biggest unanswered question in the entire industry right now. When one of these autonomous agents messes up, and it will, who's on the hook? Who's responsible? Is it the engineer who built it? The company that's using it? The AI itself? Seriously, the way we decide to answer this is going to shape the entire legal and business landscape for the next decade.
Okay, let's bring it all home. We've talked about what agentic AI is, how jobs are changing, and the huge ethical questions. So let's circle back to that very first question we asked. After all this, what's the verdict? Partners or replacements?
You know, the consensus that's really forming across the industry is pretty clear on this. The point of all this tech isn't to kick humans out of the loop, not at all. It's to make our human expertise, our judgment, count more where it truly matters. It's about automating all the grunt work so we can focus on the big, messy, creative problems that only we can solve.
And the numbers seem to back that up. The World Economic Forum is actually projecting a net gain of 78 million jobs worldwide by 2030 because of AI. So this isn't a story about jobs just vanishing into thin air. It's a story about jobs transforming. The work itself is changing, and that change, well, it's creating a ton of new opportunities.
So at the end of the day, here's the bottom line. Agentic AI has completely rewritten the rules of the game in tech. Things are moving faster than ever, and the skills that got you here might not be the skills that get you to the next level. The game is on. The only question is, are you ready to play?